Welcome back to the Donkey Punch Central Awards for 2010. We're now deep into our MMA section. Just going to do a little quickie video here for you. We thought you might need a little break.
You might be sick of us. If I'm sick of us.
Sick of us talking for an hour on each award that we do. But we're just going to do a little quickie here for you. This is our list of fighters that we love to hate. And this is, we picked 3 each, so just to give you, like I said, a little bit of a break. Tyler's going to adjust the camera.
Yep, don't mind me, just keep talking.
Holy crap, my face.
I'm sorry, it was annoying me the way it was set up.
No worries. Ow, my face. Alright, so after after a quick... So, like I say, we only picked 3 each, and actually one of the guys that we picked, one guy we each picked. So we might as well start with him, and we'll talk a little bit about Bobby Lashley. Sucks. No, Bobby Lashley, you know, a former collegiate wrestler, you know, basic story. He was a Div 1, I think he was Div 1 All-American in the NCAA. Former Marine, I believe. Really? He was somewhere in the Army, either Army or Marine Corps, and you know, was a Marine, all Marine champion in wrestling and everything like that. Decided to enter into the world of pro wrestling. Was in pro wrestling for a couple of years with WWE. He was ECW champion, WWE champion. Went over to TNA for like a month. And then decided he was going to quit and focus on an MMA career, trying to follow in the footsteps of Brock Lesnar. Great idea. He had a couple of fights and had a couple of wins, a couple of dominant wins over guys that were either past their prime or quite a bit smaller than he is. If you've never seen Bobby Lashley before, think how's the best way to describe him? Think Wesley Snipes with a lot more muscles.
He's black.
But not nearly as badass as Wesley Snipes is. He's Wesley Snipes on roids.
Didn't he go to jail for tax evasion this year?
Wasn't that Wesley? Was that Wesley Snipes?
Not
Bobby Lashley.
No.
He might have. You might have to settle that for us on the comments. Maybe he did.
I don't know. I'm not hip on my pop culture. I suck.
Justin Bieber. That's all I know about pop culture. But Bobby Lashley, his last fight, he went out for Strikeforce against a dude that I think used to have a name. I can't remember what his name.
I can't remember even who he fought.
But it was a dude that, by all rights and purposes, he should have just curb stomped. Like, he should have just ran right over him. And Lashley gassed out like Sokaju. Big time.
It was a good fight for a little while.
It was a good fight for like the first round.
Yeah.
And then, you know, Lashley just kind of sat down and was, you know, he was sucking wind like Hulk Hogan. Like, I mean, so I mean, totally blew his wad there in the first round and then got TKO'd in the second, to the point that, like, he couldn't stand up. Or he looked like he couldn't stand up. Lashley just seems to me like another one of these guys that wants to, is like, yo, I'm in one facet of entertainment. Let me try going over to another facet of entertainment. It doesn't look like he has actually put the work in. Like, I mean, he's a great wrestler. He's a big, intimidating guy. Where he and Brock Lesnar probably differ is, you know, Brock looks at least to be putting in the work to be a legitimate mixed martial artist. I mean, he's not yet, but he's trying. Lashley doesn't seem to me to be trying. Lashley, to me, looks like all he's done is practiced his wrestling. Which, in that case, welcome to UFC. I mean, that's going to be probably the only place you're going to survive. Because you try to step up to some of the top guys in Strikeforce, and you're going to get your head ripped off. Quickly. Yeah. You know what I mean? At least it'll be painless for you.
Yeah. It kind of hurts because I like to love the pro wrestlers.
Yeah,
but I was never a Lashley fan when he was a pro wrestler.
Certainly not Willie's mixed martial artist. So.
You know, like the guy got, and I know that every organization is guilty of overhyping their fighters. I mean, it's part of the.
It's just part of the deal.
Like, one of the only times I ever really see anybody diss the people fighting is like when you watch like Frank Trigg and The Voice. They're pretty. Not so much Michael Chavello, but Frank Trigg is pretty harsh on fighters sometimes.
Trigg is.
But anyway, whatever. You know, Bobby Lashley could be good. He was built up to be a force, and obviously he doesn't really have a gas tank so much. Just, I don't know.
Honestly, here's a fight I want to see. I want to see Lashley and Sokaju. 2-minute rounds.
Awesome 2 minutes.
2-minute rounds. Only 2 rounds, because you try to get into the third one, you probably can't. So, I think that would be a badass fight. Give him about a half hour between round 1 and round 2, and see the battle of the 2 worst gas tanks in MMA.
Lashley has potential, but
he does.
Something about him I just don't like. Whatever.
So go. Lashley is a dual nominee on fighters that we love to hate.
All right, so who wants to go next?
Yeah, fire away.
All right, my number 2 is Gray Maynard.
Hi.
You know, I'm glad that we actually started this off with a Strikeforce fighter because, like, if you've watched my best of, if we put it up, you'll notice that there's not a lot of UFC fighters. Now, one of my worst fighters is a UFC fighter.
Yeah, so you don't want to seem like you're just one of these knobs that.
But I can't help it.
Zuffa.
Listen, Maynard is. Hey, look, my cat's in here.
Hey.
Here, hold on.
Right. He's going to talk about Gray Maynard just right after he
shut my door.
Shuts the door.
Yeah. So Gray Maynard.
This is such a YouTube video.
He just bores me.
Yeah.
That's what it comes down to. Dude. The guy hasn't finished a fight in such a long time that he bores me. Is he a great wrestler? Yeah.
Absolutely.
But I mean, is he kind of talented? Yeah. But it's just he's another one of those fighters that doesn't seem to want to finish a fight. Listen, he was beating the piss out of Frank Edgar.
Frankie Edgar? In the first fight of 2011?
Yeah. He was beating the piss out of him. And just the fact, I don't know if it's more like Edgar has a good chin or Gray Maynard just can't, he just can't punch.
Yeah.
No, it's just, he still couldn't finish a guy.
Can't finish a fruit salad, something like that.
I mean, I was watching it, I was like, oh, Edgar, don't be like the first guy Maynard finishes in
that would have
years.
Technically been heartbreaking.
That would have been awful. Like, I'm not even a Frank Edgar fan. But I was boring him so hard against Maynard. Absolutely. But yeah, Maynard just so boring. It's unforgivable, and I don't even buy that he's that dominant. Like, I don't think that he would do well against a bunch of whatever. Anyway. I want him to step up to Melendez.
Yeah,
and then have Melendez beat the piss out of him and send him back to UFC. Can you imagine if Melendez hits the UFC?
Ooh,
that's gonna be brutal.
That's gonna be scary shit.
But yeah, so Maynard, my number 2.
He will leave a path of destruction in the locker room on his way to his fight. So it's, Maynard, absolutely. I mean, I don't see anything special about Maynard. I see him as another one of these sort of cookie cutter wrestlers who, thinks they can strike a little bit. And, don't get me wrong, he had Edgar on the ropes. Yeah. That fight could have been stopped easily, and I don't think anybody would have complained.
No.
Except maybe Frankie Edgar. But, that fight very easily could have been stopped. But it wasn't, and Maynard kind of gassed out, and everything. I mean, like, every fighter is guilty of gassing out, so I mean, we shouldn't really use, like, Maynard gassed out in his last fight, really, as a criticism, but, he just...
smart fighting.
It wasn't smart fighting. I'm not a huge Gray Maynard fan either, so Gray Maynard's a good pick.
Alright.